The U.S. Olympic swimming team trials, I think, is expected to bring 250,000 people downtown and $100 million potentially of economic impact. Talk about how you see the trials impacting our downtown.
I think it'll be just a huge event, put us on the Olympic stage. Not only is it going to bring people and economic resources downtown, but it's going to be great for our branding as a city, as a true world-class city. We are going to be featured 9 nights in a row, live, primetime NBC coverage. You can't buy that kind of publicity for a city like ours.
Welcome to Off the Record, a podcast featuring leaders on IBJ Media's Indiana 250 list. I'm Nate Feltman, CEO of IBJ Media, which publishes the Indiana 250, a list of the most influential business people in the state. Today, I'm joined by Scott Davison, the chairman, president, and CEO of OneAmerica Financial, one of our city's oldest companies. OneAmerica traces its roots to 1877, but today it's a nationwide network of companies that offer a variety of products, including individual life insurance, annuities, asset-based long-term care plans, and employee benefit plans. Scott's hometown is Iowa City, Iowa, but he spent his college years in New England, first at Middlebury College in Vermont, and then at the University of Southern Maine, where he earned an MBA, and at Harvard, where he completed an advanced management program. Scott has worked in the insurance industry for almost 40 years. He joined OneAmerica Financial in 2000 as Vice President of Strategic Planning and Corporate Development. From there, he rose through the ranks, becoming CFO in 2004, President in 2013, CEO the following year, and eventually Chairman of the Board in 2017. He's a past board chair of Indiana University Health and previously served on the boards of the Indiana Chamber, Indiana Sports Corp, and the 2004 FINA World Swimming Championships. He's currently co-chair of the 2024 U.S. Olympic Swimming Team Trials, which takes place in Indianapolis next month. Scott's involvement in big swimming events is no coincidence. It's true that he's an accomplished insurance industry veteran, but his heart belongs to swimming. In fact, he started out as a high school swimming coach at Kennebunkport High School in Maine. Here's our conversation. Scott, welcome to Off the Record podcast. Thanks so much for being here today.
Thanks, Nate. It's a delight to be here with you.
Well, Scott, you took a big leap from swimming coach to the insurance industry, but first tell us about your swimming coaching career and your history with swimming.
Well, I just was looking for a way to volunteer in the community where I lived at that time, and my college coach hooked me up with the local swim community, and I kind of got sucked into the sport and have never left 45 years later.
And were you a competitive swimmer at some point?
I was. I swam in high school and in college.
And what did you love about being a swimming coach?
I love the challenge of leadership. In fact, much of what I've learned that I've put to work at OneAmerica, I learned from those early experiences of trying to turn around a team full of kids and create a programmatic way of creating success for them.
And so then how did the transition happen from swimming coach to insurance come about?
Well, I actually did both at the same time. So I have a bit of a low attention span, so I try to do more than one thing. So I was a volunteer as the head swim coach, and I was doing my insurance gig full time.
So I want to circle back and talk to you more about OneAmerica, but first, let's talk about what's happening in Indianapolis next month. The U.S. Olympic Swimming Team Trials, which takes place June 15th to June 23rd, ahead of this summer's Olympic Games in Paris. There are so many things happening in connection with the swim trials, including 3 Olympic-sized pools being built inside a football stadium, that football stadium being Lucas Oil Stadium. How is that build progressing?
Is pretty much done. So the competition pool is full of water, and the last pictures I saw were the warm-up pools, which the other 2 pools were in the process of being created. My guess is by the time people hear this podcast, they'll be done and full of water as well. So that's gone very, very well. We've been doing it for the last 20 years around the world, and it's pretty well-established art. No small challenge, but they do it pretty well.
I can't wait to see the time lapse of them building it from start to finish. And I know there's going to be a recording of that released at some point, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So I read, help me make sure this is correct, that the pools will be filled with water from the White River. Is that a true statement?
Yep. And when we're done, we are going to make sure they're even cleaner than when they came out of the White River, and we're going to put it back into the White River. So it's a sustainable way of doing the Olympic trials and providing the water for that great event.
That's a pretty awesome fact that I don't think a lot of our listeners will be aware of, that they're going to be able to pump it out, clean it, and then chlorinate it, I assume, and then clean it again and put it back in the river. That's pretty neat.
Yep. It'll be amazing part of the trials.
So, Scott, what are some of the things that'll be happening outside of Lucas Oil Stadium that'll be noticeable to the public in the connection with the U.S. Olympic swimming trials?
I think those folks that are used to Final Fours and Super Bowl should expect a miniature version of that experience. So we're going to be activated on Georgia Street. There's going to be a swim-up bar on Georgia Street. You don't need to bring your swimsuit. You actually can stay dry. There's going to be the OneAmerica stage at the end of Georgia Street. So we'll have live music every single day for those 9 days. And then I think the best Instagram moment of all time, we are building a 66-foot tall, which is giant, version of the Eiffel Tower made out of steel by the Latina Welding Guild. That's going to be right where Capitol and Georgia meet, and that's going to really bring Paris to Indianapolis.
That's really neat because the Olympic Games are they 6 weeks or so after the trials?
The swimming starts at the very end of July, so it really will be a great way to kind of kick off the Olympic season. There's also going to be activation inside the convention center, and I should mention that all of those events that are outside the venue are going to be really fun. They're going to be family friendly, and they're all free.
Yeah, it's neat. Is the convention center space called the Aqua Zone? Am I correct?
Aqua Zone. So you'll be able to get your Olympic team swag. You'll be able to see some great events. I know at OneAmerica Financial, we have a booth there that's actually a swimming pool filled with balls. So it's a ball pit. So you can bring your little ones. They can jump and swim in an Olympic ball pit pool.
That's really neat. And I think the circle is going to be activated, if I remember correctly. So they'll be shut down, I think, for the most part. And then you've got music going on everywhere. I've spent some time in Nashville where you have music coming out of different locations. And I feel like, based on what I've heard, it's going to be a similar experience here in Indianapolis. It is.
It's going to be all the things you expect from Indianapolis for taking a big sporting event, taking it to a whole new level that no other city does like we do it here.
And am I right that there's hope, I should say, that we'll break the indoor record of watching the swimming trials? Do we think that's likely to happen?
I think that's very, very likely to happen on opening night. We still have tickets available for sale, but tickets are going briskly, and I think we're going to have an amazing crowd.
It's going to be exciting. So I know, Scott, that you've been a champion of continued downtown development and progress. And of course, OneAmerica has anchored downtown for a long time. The U.S. Olympic swimming team trials, I think, is expected to bring 250,000 people downtown and $100 million potentially of economic impact. Talk about how you see the trials impacting our downtown.
I think it'll be just a huge event. Put us on the Olympic stage. Not only is it going to bring people and economic resources downtown, but it's going to be great for our branding as a city, as a true world-class city. We are going to be featured 9 nights in a row, live, primetime NBC coverage. You can't buy that kind of publicity for a city like ours. So that's really going to, I think, lift our city, as sports always has, to the next level.
It's going to be fun to see Indianapolis on that stage for 9 nights in a row. You're right. I mean, I can't think of another event where you get that much of a sustained coverage for that long period of time. So that's really fun. So I understand the last time Paris hosted the Olympics was 100 years ago, and the trials were also in Indianapolis that year, similar to this year at Broad Ripple Park. Are you and the organizers of the 24 trials incorporating some of that history into your planning this year?
Yeah, so we've been doing that for the last year. We actually had an event out at Broad Ripple Park. Their Olympic-sized pool is long gone, but we did have an event out there with some Olympians to kick off a year out, and we continue to celebrate Indy to Paris. 1924, when you had stars like Johnny Weissmuller, and then now 2024, when you have stars like Katie Ledecky and Caleb Dressel and those great athletes.
It's an amazing tie-in in 100-year history. So will some of the OneAmerica team make it to Paris for the Olympics and see some of the swimmers that we'll see in Indianapolis next month in Paris too?
I will be there. We are hosting the families of the Olympic swimmers, and we're also hosting the coaches' families here at OneAmerica. So my wife and I will be making it and trying to make them feel comfortable and feel welcome and just engage and give them the best experience we can have. Can you imagine being the parent of a member of the Olympic swim team? That's got to be just the best.
It's exciting. So I know that OneAmerica, the Sports Corp, and USA Swimming have a really important legacy project that's taking place all of this year in conjunction with our hosting of the Olympic swim trials. Tell us a little bit about that legacy project, if you would, Scott.
For me, that's the best part of the whole trials, particularly as a coach that worked at the lower levels of the sport. So we are going to be teaching, and we're well over halfway to our goal of teaching 50,000 underserved kids mostly, but also adults, how to swim. We know that drowning is the number 2 cause of accidental death for kids under age 14. It's number 1 for kids under the age of 4. And we also know that in Black and brown communities, the numbers are simply staggering because, frankly, people of color were not allowed in the swimming pools back in the 50s and 60s and 70s. They didn't teach their kids how to swim. And we're going to make a huge difference in that problem because once you teach someone how to swim, they teach their kids how to swim. So it's going to have a multi-generational impact that will benefit Indianapolis for decades and decades to come.
That, as you said, you're most excited about that, and that's such a huge opportunity to improve lives and probably save lives, it sounds like.
We will 100% be saving lives.
Yeah, congratulations on that. That's important for Indiana. As you know, better than most, Indiana has a very robust swimming culture, considering we're not a warm weather state. Carmel High School has been near the top nationally for a long time, and IU often shows up as one of the top finishers in NCAA meets, surrounded by schools like Florida and Arizona and California, and other states maybe more naturally associated with swimming. Do you have any idea how the sport got such a foothold in our state of Indiana and why you think the sport continues to be so important and so strong in our state?
I think it's been a long-standing culture. You can trace some of it back to the great IU teams of the 60s and 70s with Doc Councilman, the renowned legendary coach at Indiana University. But it's just been something that seems to fit the Hoosier ethos. It's hard work, it's delayed gratification, it's team-oriented, it's putting in your best, and it created a culture that drives. Carmel helps everybody else be better. Zionsville helps everybody else be better because it pushes people to really achieve excellence at a new level. So I think it goes deep into our culture, and it's a great fit for the Hoosier State.
It's exciting. I know we're all who spend time downtown and those who are coming to our state to witness the championships are excited. So thank you for all the work you're doing in that area. But as I understand it, you also have a day job. You run a little company here in the state of Indiana. In addition to being so into swimming and working so hard on behalf of our city and state for the swimming championships, as I mentioned in the start, you were hired in 2000, right about the time the company adopted a holding company structure and changed its name from what it used to be called American United Life to OneAmerica. And that name, American United Life, was really well known in the community. What brought you to OneAmerica and to Indianapolis?
Well, I came as part of an acquisition. As I like to remind people, I came with the furniture fully depreciated, and I had no intention of moving my family to Indiana, but the people here drew me in, and I saw an opportunity to make a difference. And so at the urging of my spouse, who had never even visited Indiana, based on the people, she said, we're going to Indianapolis. You're going to help those people. This is going to be great for our family. And it has been every day since.
And at the beginning, you were vice president of strategic planning and corporate development. And it sounds like you may have been involved in the new direction the company was taking at that time. How was the insurance industry changing at that time?
Well, it was changing quite a bit. A fair amount of consolidation, changes in the types of products that the industry was offering, and big changes in distribution. And those trends have kind of continued until through today.
And traditional life insurance is still, I know, very important to OneAmerica, but you're also a leader in what you call hybrid long-term care. With so many Americans in or approaching retirement, I imagine that's a growing importance to your business and an important protection for your customers. Tell us about the long-term care insurance business and what your role is today.
We are a market leader in this space. So as some listeners might know, the long-term care business has been challenging if you look back over the last 30 years. And that's because it started at like a health insurance policy. You either use it for long-term care or you lose all your premiums and the insurance company keeps the premiums. What we did is created a fully guaranteed product that you can keep for your entire life that's based on either a life insurance or annuity chassis that will pay you a benefit whether you need long-term care, whether you don't need long-term care. And in our particular product, and we're the only one in the industry that offers this, we will actually continue to pay long-term care benefits for a lifetime if you happen to be one of those individuals that needs care for a very, very long time. It's been stable financially. There's no chance of getting a rate increase. And it's what I own and what I recommend to friends and family members as a product like ours because it is the most sustainable product design in the industry.
And if somebody wants to buy one of those policies, do they work with one of your affiliates usually? Is that how they would find that policy?
We can connect someone with a professional that is an expert in that area that can show them all their options. And it really is an exciting, fast-growing part of the market because people recognize that they're going to need to plan for long-term care. There are tax advantages for using a product like ours, and it really should be part of anybody's comprehensive plan if they have at least a moderate amount of savings to even being wealthy. It can really help all families with their long-term care planning.
And of course, we're all living longer, and we all have, in my case, I have aging parents. So I think I may be giving you a call, point me in the right direction.
Fantastic. We'll take good care of you, Nate.
Scott, one of the things I know you're proud of at OneAmerica is the OneAmerica Pathways program, which, as I understand it, was designed to interest young people in the financial services industry. But it seems like the Pathways program has really taken off. Tell us a little bit more about that program.
It came about when we realized that there were incredibly talented young people in parts of our city and coming from circumstances where they could not see themselves as having an opportunity to work for a large financial services company like OneAmerica. So we created a program to provide them a dual mentorship. Everyone gets both a professional mentor and a personal mentor. We worked with outside agencies such as Shepherd Community Center to have somebody on the other end of the bus line that could care for these young people to really show them they could have a future. And sometimes that meant they came and worked for us on a permanent basis. Sometimes it meant they went on to school and worked someplace else. And all of those are a win for us. So it's really about lifting up underserved youth that have great potential, have great values, and also providing a pipeline for our business. So it's not strictly charity, it's a business imperative because we need great people and we're going to continue to need great people as a growing company.
That's awesome. Sounds like an amazing program that's fueling talent for your company and providing talent for your company. What about the apprenticeship programs? We hear, Indiana has really taken an interest in growing this. IBJ had a power breakfast last week, actually, where we had a number of people involved in the Indiana apprenticeship programs, including the Speaker of the House and the Commissioner for Higher Education and Sue Ellspermann and others talking about the importance of apprenticeships. Is OneAmerica also involved in an apprenticeship-like program too?
Yes, and Pathways you can think about as just our special take on apprenticeship program. So we are completely all in on that effort that's being led across the state. So we are engaged in that. We're learning from that, adjusting our program. This is hard work, and it takes years of commitment to really build an apprenticeship program. Ours happens to be called Pathways. We learned some things. We've taken some early losses, if you will, and by investing in it. And we're really interested in some of the things we can learn from the Swiss model and from others around the state that have tried and been successful. So we'll continue to see our Pathways program evolve. And I think over time, you won't see as much of a difference between that apprenticeship program and ours. So we are all in on that. I think it's the way to go.
Another topic that all business leaders, I think, have top of mind today is the impact on their business by artificial intelligence and what we'll see in that regard. How is OneAmerica thinking about AI, and how do you think AI could be incorporated into your business over the long term?
We use it today already. We've been using it for a few years, experimenting to speed up the underwriting process. So it basically can help an underwriter looking at your health information that you're providing us and pointing us to things that might be issues or might not be issues where we might need to follow up to make it faster and easier for the client. That said, we are a highly regulated business, and there are, I think, significant ethical and regulatory issues that we still need to sort out. So we think it can be a productivity add, but I think we have to be careful not to go too fast where we create unintended consequences that impact the clients that we serve.
It's in every profession, it seems like it's something that people are trying to figure out how best to use it to increase efficiencies, but at the same time, the human touch is, of course, important.
We always have humans involved. We never make an underwriting decision just based on AI. It's simply there to make the process faster, easier, and less frustrating for the client.
Let's take a quick break. This is Off the Record Podcast.
Get caught up on the state's top business news every business day with the Inside Indiana Business Radio On Demand podcast. Available now at InsideIndianaBusiness.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Off the Record Podcast. I'm Nate Feltman, CEO of IBJ Media, and I'm talking with Scott Davison, CEO of OneAmerica. Scott, you and OneAmerica have been active in supporting our community in downtown. Two notable examples of your philanthropic leadership. One is the upgrades to the IU Natatorium, and then the second is the establishment of the OneAmerica Personalized Learning Center at Marion University. Talk about the importance of giving back and leaning into our community from a philanthropic perspective.
I think anytime you're looking at philanthropy or trying to make a difference, start with the assets that you have. What capabilities do you have? What knowledge do you have that you can bring to the table and make a difference? I'm not a big believer in just being a check at the end of the day. So if you take the IU NAT rebuild, obviously my background in swimming and my connections in that, some of the community leaders working with the Indiana Sports Corp, we were able to get that done. It took about 10 years. And I put some money in, the company put some money in because we thought it was a valuable branding opportunity for us. And that IU Natatorium is so important to the city and our economic vibrancy. And then I'm glad you mentioned the Personalized Learning Center. That's been something that we've done privately. Lorraine and I certainly put OneAmerica's name on it. That is a program designed to help people with special needs at Marion University be able to be successful in higher education. That's been a lesson is if you want to put money to good work, bet on great leadership. If you look at Dan Ellsner and what Ken Britt have done over at Marion University, it's remarkable. And they had a need to learn how to be able to serve people that were college capable, but maybe needed a little extra help, and they needed the resources to be able to do that. So we helped put something together there. My wife and I have some understanding of that because we have an autistic young man in our family who's a college graduate. So that was something that we felt we could contribute to.
That's awesome. Both stories are awesome. And I'm curious on the IU Natatorium side. Is it IU Natatorium or is it just the Natatorium?
It's IU Natatorium. In the swimming world, it's known as just the Nat.
The Nat. That's right. The Nat. So is the Nat today, would it be considered state of the art? And are we as competitive? Or are there some new natatoriums coming on board that we need to worry about?
She's an old place, but she is still the fastest pool in the world, in my opinion.
Is that right?
She is an amazing feat of engineering. The people that worked on that back in the 70s and early 80s did a heck of a job. And it's also, think of Yankee Stadium and Fenway Park and Wrigley Field combined together if you're a baseball person. You walk on there, you see the names of the Olympians on that south wall, and the hairs go up on the back of your neck. You are just faster just walking in that building.
Is that right?
So it's the largest facility in the Western Hemisphere as a permanent facility. So it's great for USA Swimming. It's great for our community. And we simply couldn't let that thing get torn down. We had to find a way to create the money to rehab it. And now it's ready to go for the next 20 or 30 years.
I can remember when that effort was underway to save it. And I'm glad you and others stepped up to make that happen. Well, Scott, we've made it to Off the Record Speed Round, where we ask you some fun questions and you try to give as short answers as you can, although you can feel free to go on a little bit too. So first question is your favorite movie.
I'm going to say something horrible like Caddyshack. That's just a fun. I just like to laugh, and that movie makes me laugh all the way through.
That's a good one. Favorite place to vacation?
Maine.
So, and I mentioned Kennebunkport is where I had that right, where you were a swim coach.
Right.
And Kennebunkport happens to be a pretty famous place. I think there's a pretty famous family from Kennebunkport. Did you ever run into the Bushes?
Actually, I used to coach in the summer outside at an outdoor pool by the beach. And Bush 41, who was well-known to do a lot of walking, would sometimes come and turn around at our practice, watch for a few minutes, and turn around and go back. So we saw him a few times.
Favorite musical artist?
I've got a lot of different musical artists that I like. I would say I like an eclectic blend. Trombone Shorty is someone I listen to a lot right now. I like that blend of kind of funk and New Orleans jazz.
I think I'm going to know the answer right to this next question. What's the first thing you do in the morning?
First thing I do in the morning is read Bloomberg. What do you need to know today?
I thought it was going to be swimming the lap pool.
No, before that.
Okay. Title of the last book you read?
I'm reading a book right now called 1877, America's Year of Living Dangerously. That was the year of our founding. We're preparing for our 150th anniversary. And there's a lot of people that are concerned. We have employees that are really concerned about the election and all the tension in America right now. We've got nothing on 1877. It was violent and horrible, and the election was thrown to the House of Representatives. It was a really, really difficult year and really, really fascinating. So
that's really interesting. It gives you a little perspective to what we're going through today to read something like that.
We can get through this if we stay together.
What food can you not live without?
Salmon.
Athlete you admire most?
Right now might be Katie Ledecky. Her humility and her ability to just win no matter what.
Best advice you ever received?
It's not about you.
Advice for a young person who wants to make a difference in their community?
Make sure you know the difference between service and serve us. So focus on service and good things will happen to you.
Scott, this has been great. Thank you for joining me on the Indiana 250 podcast. Congratulations on all your success at OneAmerica, and good luck to all the swimmers in next month's Olympic swimming trials. Thanks for all you're doing, Scott.
Thanks, Nate. I hope people come to the meet. You're not going to want to miss it. It's going to be so much fun.
I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be great for downtown. So thanks for doing it. Thanks to OneAmerica CEO Scott Davison for our conversation today. To learn more about other leaders on IBJ Media's Indiana 250 list, go to indiana250.com and look for a Page 2 feature each week in IBJ. We'll be back with a new Indiana 250 off-the-record conversation soon.